Hey everyone, welcome to Developer Days. My name is Colin McKibben, Lead Developer Advocate at SailPoint, and today I'm going to be talking about a new reporting feature called Secure Data Share that is available as an add-on in Identity Security Cloud. So what is Secure Data Share? It's an add-on to ISC that synchronizes your tenant's data to an AWS Snowflake account that you might own in your company. SDS gives you access to the same data that's available in search. However, it provides it as a relational database so that you can use SQL as the language to query your data, rather than the Elasticsearch query language. Now, because it provides the same data as search, it also has the same SLA for synchronization. So for search, it's up to 24 hours to see your operational data appear in search. It's the same for SDS. It can take up to 24 hours to see that data synchronized. So I'm going to show you where the documentation for Secure Data Share lives. It is on developer.sailpoint.com. So if I go to the Identity Security Cloud documentation and select the reporting dropdown, you can see we have Secure Data Share as one of the options. Now the Secure Data Share docs, it tells you, again, what Secure Data Share is, what you need to run it, and then other useful information about it. But the other nice thing that it provides is identity relationship diagrams, or entity relationship diagrams. So because this is relational database, it provides all of the data models as a relationship between the different tables. So again, it's all the same data as search, but now it's being offered as a relational database, so you can see how the different tables correspond with each other. Now this is an interactive diagram, so you can drag it around, move it, zoom in, zoom out, but it's just a great way to see how the tables relate to each other so you can build your SQL queries. So next up, I'm going to show you a little demo of how Snowflake works when you've synchronized your secure data share to your Snowflake account. So I have a Snowflake account on my machine here, and if you're familiar with Snowflake, this dashboard might look similar to you. But what we do here to run queries on our data once you have it synchronized is we're going to open a new worksheet. And then for me, I have to select the right role. So in this case, it's the ad hoc role. And then finally, I'm going to make sure I'm on the right data warehouse. So I'm going to select this drop down, make sure that my SailPoint identity table is the one that's selected. And from here, we can start writing SQL to query our SailPoint data. So we could do a simple one like select all from identity. This will just grab all of the identities in your tenant data. There it is. Now this is a lot of data, so you can, it's just SQL, so from here I could say I just want the name instead of all of those different columns. And there we go. So again, just SQL. You could do a lot to create reports that you need to, do audit reports or whatever else you want to discover in your data. But one of the really powerful things about Snowflake and the fact that it's SQL that you're using to query your data is that aggregations become much easier. So one of the use cases that I've seen in the developer forum is people want to see what identities have more than one account on the same source. So there is a way to do this in search. So I'll show you how that works in search. Because this is an aggregation query, you can't do this in the search UI. You can only do it via API. So you'll notice I have my Postman up. I'm looking at the search aggregate API endpoint. Again, this is not available in the user interface. You have to use it via API. And the query to get identities with more than one account in the same source looks like this. It's kind of an Elasticsearch query. For those of you not familiar with Elasticsearch, this can look foreign. It can be hard to develop this, but this query, when I run it, will produce a large JSON document that is even more foreign to read. So if I scroll down here, there's a lot of data here that's unrelated to the query that we're trying to get to. But if I keep scrolling down, eventually you'll notice we get to this really nested object. So there's the identity that has duplicate accounts. You can see the doc count is saying it has 2 accounts on a source. And if we scroll a little further, we can learn more about those accounts. So for example, Albert Woods. Here's one account that he has on the web services source. And if I scroll down to the next account, again, Albert Woods, same thing, web services, he's got another account. So that's how you can figure out which identities have duplicate accounts on a source. Now this is really hard to read. What you'll probably have to do is create your own script to pull that data out into a CSV report to make it easier to read and consume. Now with SDS, this becomes much simpler. So we're going to build the same query in SQL to get those duplicate accounts. So we're going to type this out. I only want certain columns to show up, so I'm going to be very clear about which columns I want to see in this report. You want to get the display name, the identity, the account ID, so you can go find those accounts and remediate them if necessary. You want the source name, so it makes it easier for you to look up the source where those duplicate accounts are appearing. And then here's where our aggregation comes in. So we're going to do account aggregation to see, how many accounts we have on a particular source. Next up, to make this query work, we got to do some joins. We have to join the different relational tables together so we can get that data and aggregate it. So we're going to join our identity accounts table. We're going to join our identity table on the identity accounts. And we also need to join our source table. Then we need to do some group by to group our data together. And then finally, we have a having clause where we want to say only return records where the number of accounts is greater than 1. Okay, so that is the query that will return the same data as that search query that we ran before. Looks like I got a little typo maybe. Accounts. There it is. That's source.id. Should be underscore. Let's try that again. Okay, executing. So this query takes about 16 seconds to run. It may be more or less depending on how much data you have in your tenant. And here we go. We have the data. So right off the bat, you can see that this data is in a much cleaner format than the JSON document that we had from the search aggregate query. We have the display name of the identity who has the duplicate accounts. We have their ID, so we can quickly look them up. We even have the source name where those duplicate accounts exist, and then how many accounts they have on that source. And then again, the great thing about this is just a table, so you can download this as a CSV, open it up in Excel, share that report. It just makes it much easier to report and consume that data. So there are other uses for SDS in Snowflake. So Snowflake, you don't have to use SQL. You can actually connect Snowflake to a lot of different BI tools. So if you're familiar with Tableau or Power BI or really just about any other BI tool, Snowflake almost certainly has a connector for that. So you can connect all of your Identity Now data to Tableau and report on it that way if you're more familiar in that kind of environment. So that really opens up a lot of different avenues for doing reports for auditing and just reports that just help you in your day-to-day job. So in closing, That was just a quick demonstration of the capabilities of secure data share. Again, this is an add-on to ISC. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely check out the docs to learn more about how you can acquire it. And yeah, it's just a more powerful way to report on your data than maybe what search can provide you. If you're interested in learning more as well, you can always reach out to me on the developer forum. I'll be there. But that's all I have today. So thank you.